Hey everyone, this is Andrew from Prizebox Productions, and this isn't a weird YouTube expedition. If anything, this is more like a weird internet expedition, I guess, considering I'm going to be talking about something that's been going on for 6 months, and that the mainstream media has just finally caught up to it, and I figured I'd give my take. So, for this video, I'll be talking about Q, and the whole QAnon conspiracy. So, the issue with this is that it's like a huge conspiracy theory surrounding this person on the internet who goes by the pseudonym Q. Has been spotted on image boards like 8chan. They were originally on Reddit until they got kicked out. They've also been spotted on 4chan again until they got kicked out. And the whole issue with this is that they claim to be some kind of high-level intelligence operative working within the US government and is trying to sort of counteract the deep state that's supposedly trying to overthrow Donald Trump or something. The issue with this is that they don't seem to be trying, is that from my perspective, they don't seem to be trying to help Trump or his supporters or anybody on the right side of the political spectrum at all. They seem to be helping the left, when you think about it, because everything they do so far has made the right look bad. They, for instance, a few days ago at the Trump rally in Tampa, they had a bunch of people who at least claimed to be connected to the movement, went up to the CNN reporter Jim Acosta and basically harassed him during that whole thing. Another example would be the guy at the Hoover Dam, Matthew P. Wright, who went up there basically to demand the Justice Department release its report on the conduct of FBI agents who are investigating Hillary Clinton's private email server. Now, it doesn't make sense to me why you go to the Hoover Dam. Why didn't he just go ask the FBI or just ask the Justice Department? Why didn't he just make an inquiry there? Why did he have to do this whole thing that amounted to him getting charged with terrorism charges and everything? Why did he have to do that? So it seems to me that so far, everything Q has done has made the right look irrational and incredibly gullible. Because this is the same thing with the whole Pizzagate conspiracy, where somebody just said, oh, there's this whole conspiracy involving human trafficking at this pizza restaurant. So some guy decided to show up and investigate by shooting at him. All he served to do was get himself arrested, and turned out there was no conspiracy there at all. And it's not that hard. The thing about this, why I go with this perspective, is that it's not that hard to believe from the way I look at it. Because a few days ago also, you had this thing on Facebook where they had shut down another group which alleged to be sort of a left-wing movement that was connected to the whole abolish ICE thing, and often tried to convince people it was like a resistance movement organization. And it's like that. All it does is sort of push people into further and further onto the fringes to make them more and more irrational, make them think that they're part of something that they're not, and causes them to sort of trip up the more rational side of the political spectrum on both sides. It basically causes them to trip each other up, and then it divides the country further against itself. But the thing about it is, the one Facebook has been, I wouldn't say it's been connected to Russia, because they're not sure of that yet. I'm not sure if the one with Q is connected to Russia, but it's basically the same thing. You have people who are coming up and saying they have access to information like classified or top secret information, and then they say they're going to release it. They release sort of tidbits of it so you feel like it's some kind of puzzle that you have to solve, and at the same time it makes the people who believe they're privy to some kind of conspiracy or some kind of private or special information, that they themselves are somehow special in the grand scheme of things, and then they sort of follow along with it and they support it even though they don't know that what they're being fed is a bunch of lies. In fact, somebody I think who works with WikiLeaks, and I think WikiLeaks itself did inquiries into this, and it came up on Twitter, and this is pretty much what it came up as. It's like the Pied Piper phenomenon, and they described it like this: I referred to QAnon today as a Pied Piper operation. What I meant by this is that the operation exists to round up people that are otherwise dangerous to the deep state because they are genuinely opposed to it, usurp time and attention, and trick them into serving its aims. To achieve this, the operation moves through 3 phases. Establish credibility, which is like what I said, where they make the claim that they are some kind of secret intelligence operative that is operating to try and protect Donald Trump, and then say they have access to some sort of classified or top secret information. This makes the audience in question feel like they are special and getting access to something other people are not. It also sort of plays on people who want to rely on whistleblowers and hackers for information, because this is something that happened before with the Russian influence campaign, where they had people who claimed to be hackers getting information from the US government when they were in fact producing fake news. They go on to say that they employ gamification. This is a technique frequently used by big data companies and big data and surveillance companies and intelligence agencies. It's not that Q to simply tell you stuff outright, so it has to become a quiz and it has to be a puzzle so it can become fun, which is also what I said. Which is what they're gonna do, which is also what they do with the whole thing. It makes it sort of like it seems like it's some kind of puzzle that has to be solved, and that you're somehow part of this whole movement that's trying to save the day or something. They profess to share the same values and priorities as his or her or their targets, which is the same thing, like I said, with the whole thing on Facebook. And then they make it spiritual. To build a truly evangelical following, the audience must become devoted. Devotion is incredibly powerful. A devoted follower is loyal and compliant, willing to silence their devil advocate inner tendencies, willing to extend their faith. And phase 3 is shifting the target and unleashing the audience. These ops not simply just like the day-to-day info ops, where they want to make the audience believe false things. In order to unleash their full power, they have to shift focus and direct the audience to action. They go on to say, therefore, what is the most subversive thing an opponent of the deep state can do? Clue, it's not reading QAnon all day, every day on the internet. The issue is that they go on to say that it's probably connected to like some kind of intelligence agency or something, but I don't think so. Although that is possible. For example, back during the civil rights movement, you had COINTELPRO, which actively infiltrated the civil rights movement and also infiltrated and tried to disperse the Black Panther Party as well. So it's not entirely impossible that something like that would happen. It's like the whole Asian provocateur thing, where they put people into movements to try and disrupt them from the inside, often like putting agitators into peaceful protests to make them go out and start causing trouble, so the police will have like a reason to sort of attack them and disperse the whole thing in the process. So yeah, but the thing about it is, I don't think it's like an intelligence agency doing it. It's very likely that it could be like a private person knowing how to exploit the gullibility of people who view everything through a political lens or something, or basically being able to view, or people who will take anything that they say, if they say it came from a hacker or it came from a whistleblower or something, and take it as absolute fact, because of the Snowden effect, where you have a guy who revealed the whole thing about Project Prism and internet and government surveillance, and people will think that anybody who's a whistleblower or claims to be a whistleblower or some kind of intelligence operative or something is giving them some kind of like classified information, when in fact they're just feeding them fake news all the time. So that's pretty much my take on this, is that Q's identity to me is irrelevant, but it's what it's doing to people is pretty much my whole reason for this, because it causes people to do increasingly irrational and stupid things, and it causes the country to be further divided against itself, because of the fact that you have them trying to make the right look like a bunch of lunatics, but you also have other groups that are trying to also make the left look like a bunch of lunatics. So, and it pushes them further apart. That's my whole issue with this, and that it seems obvious to me that that's what's happening here. Q is not some kind of intelligence agent or something trying to help anybody, but is actually trying to further divide the country. I'm not saying, maybe they work for Russia, maybe they don't, because I think it's possible for anybody to probably do this if you have a decent knowledge of psychology, to actually be able to pull this on anybody. My advice for anybody who's trying to follow Q or trying to be part of these sort of special movements like Abolish ICE or QAnon, try and vet the information where it's coming from, or just don't follow people who try to like appeal to you in that way, because it's like what it's like what you hear in, granted it's not the best Star Wars movie, but it does have great advice, which was, don't let your personal feelings get in the way. Which is what's happening. People are letting their personal feelings getting away, and they're getting swept up in conspiracy theories that play on their gullibility. And as a result, they continue to do things that are stupid and dangerous, that end up dragging everybody who's connected to the same thing, same political spectrum, part of the political spectrum, down with them. So my advice is try not to follow after people who say that they're always say that they're whistleblowers or hackers, because in all likelihood they're just trying to lie to you and trying to manipulate you into doing things that are doing stupid things. And like I said, it's not that hard as long as you have a decent knowledge of how psychology and everything. You can pretty much do this to anybody. So I would recommend not to follow after people where, particularly if you get information from somewhere that you can't actually vet it, it's probably not best to follow after that person because they're probably lying to you. It's like with the whole Nigerian scam thing where people always fall for it, but even though they know about it, but they don't bother vetting any of the information of where they're getting from the emails or anything. It's like that. You're just playing on your gullibility, and all you have to do is just vet the information and see if it's accurate. If it's not, then ignore it. And in the cases of, and like I said, in the case of things that try to play on your biases and feelings on politics and things like that, then probably shouldn't just follow after it because it confirms what you think is going on, or probably wants to play on your feelings on things. Probably best not to follow after things like that because it's only gonna trip you up and trip up everybody else around you. So with that, I'm gonna end this video here. So be sure to check out my other videos, those Prizebox Productions other videos, or our channels Prizebox Gaming and Prizebox Reacts. Thanks for watching, and I'm sorry for talking about politics. And stay jamming, everyone.